we will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I took up the world.
Yes. Welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me. My name is EJ, and I got my man,
MH.
Yes, he's the DB of the show, and we are Black in Sports. Give a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Today, man, we'll bring you back inside the locker room where we talk about the topics in and around the game. Today, we're talking about the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. MH, you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. All right, man. So we talked a little bit, kind of quick prep, and we was like, you know how to let's start the show off talking about our girl Maria Taylor. Like, I mean, she just said, hey, you know, there were some incidents. You know, she's trying to get paid. She wants to get them what's the pay me my money. So she's on the meme pay, and then she shows up and she just says "Tadow," and she comes and announces she's with NBC and she's covering the Olympics, man. I mean, that's a damn great way to roll out with the new company.
It's funny how some things work out, man. You know, somebody what's they say in church? What they meant for evil, God meant for good.
Praise him.
Yeah. So it's funny how those things kind of end up, but you know, shout out to her. She's grown in a short time frame. And her stardom has kind of exploded.
I mean, hardest working girl in sports biz, wasn't she?
Yeah, for sure.
She was the Jamaican of of the sports biz.
She was everywhere on ESPN. But big loss for ESPN, but you know, a big game for NBC. I'm interested to see kind of the rest of the things that she's doing. Obviously, the Olympics is nothing just to sneeze over. It happens every 4, in this case, 5 years.
Right.
So very excited for her and looking forward to see what else she got going at NBC.
It will be interesting to see how they kind of roll her out with the breadth of things that she has. And, you know, because, I mean, they have the one on there. So I just don't know if she's really excited to be covering NASCAR Formula One. But, hey, you know, diversify your bonds, right?
I mean, they got the Sunday Night Football. That's kind of one of their bigger things with Chris Collinsworth. I'm sure she'll find her way in the mix a little bit somewhere down the line.
Well, they're going to because isn't the girl already on the sidelines?
Who's that?
Oh, what's the girl that she was getting peeped on in her thing? What is her name?
Oh, she's on NBC.
Is she or is she ABC?
I thought she was Fox.
Oh, Andrews. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So Andrews on Fox.
Fox.
Who is Michelle Tafoya?
Yeah, but I mean, no disrespect to Michelle.
He's like, yeah, but so we're about to go ahead and retire her, huh?
Yeah, there's some other things that she can do, but
there you go. Well, hey, shit.
I like Maria in the studio too. I know the GOAT kind of holds that down, so I don't know if she can tag team it with Mike Tirico.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe on the sideline.
Well, hey, it depends on the sport after, because Mike Tirico is at the Olympics, and I mean they playing, so you know, and plus Mike Tirico's not black. You know, he's told us all that he's not black. So
what did he say? What did he say?
He's not black. I mean, you know, he identifies as not black.
What does he identify with?
He did not tell us what he is, but he identifies as not black.
That's news to me. But it explains a little bit about his hairline. Yeah. His lineup. That's what it is.
His lineup game, right?
Yeah.
Got the way back.
Man, go ahead and cut that, bro.
Just let it go, right?
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of tough starts in his lineup, man, there's a lot of kind of things that was going on as far as the news before we even get started in the Olympics, right? Like,
yeah,
it was just so the beds. I know people were talking about the beds. Like, I didn't know it got down in the Olympic Village like that. Like, to where they had to give you cardboard. They got to give you a homie decline. Not homie decline. What was the dude off of Living Color that lived in the that lived in the box?
Yeah.
But they had to put cardboard boxes together to keep them from, you know, humping and grinding. I didn't know it got down like that in Olympic Village.
That's what I've heard, man. I've heard some stories about it. I used to work at USA Racquetball,
Okay.
Yes, USA racquetball is not an Olympic sport.
Okay.
If you talk to a lot of people in that world, they're trying. But it's not quite there yet. But that was based out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is kind of the headquarters of the USOC.
Okay.
And so obviously through work, I kind of connected a lot with different, the training centers that are. So some Olympians were down there. Not connected in that way. I see you. I see you. I was working, but no.
Yeah,
but I first
you was working. You was working.
Yeah.
I get it. That was a long time ago. Long time ago.
Yeah, cardio.
Amir.
But I did. Shout out to Amir. But I did hear some stories about how it went down. I mean, I guess it's a stress relief, man. You know, when you see a lot of, a top tier athletes on your level, I guess you gotta, kind of relieve stress, and you kind of.
What about
strength with strength?
They can't have weak legs, man. Before your event, man, you're supposed to be doing all of that, right?
I mean,
anyway,
yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, no fans, right? Like that's the biggest thing, right? Of course we went through some seasons just with the last football and basketball and the bubble situation and things like that, but the Olympics to be in like a bubble, no fan situation, that has to be like just the ultimate worst, right? Like, I mean, for no sport it was good, but just you're thinking like Olympics, this is like every 4 years, and now it's 5 years, and then like nobody.
Yeah, I think it obviously, that's part of the Olympics, is kind of the pageantry that goes with it. No matter where it is, where located in the world, you tend to see a lot of representation. So, I mean, that's been a down try. I guess I didn't really notice it outside of staying tuned with gymnastics. I know we'll get into track. Those are, I guess, the two kind of sporting and swimming. There's something about swimming that's funny, but I guess seeing those sports and kind of watching them as they are, unfolding and have unfolded, you can tell, like, man, there's something missing there. And then obviously, that's what it is the fandom.
And then, I mean, like you said, you mentioned the sports that like really produce when those things are happening. So, and then, I mean, the last thing was the news, right? Like there was so much, the local government wasn't really having it because of the outbreak that was going on. And then they actually had an outbreak in the Olympic Village so far that the USA teams, basketball Olympics, and, a lot of their teams didn't even stay in the village. So a rough start, and they definitely they pushed through.
Yeah. At first it was crazy. It was like opening ceremonies were starting tomorrow, and then you get another tweet that's saying like, we're not out of the realm of possibility that we might cancel the whole thing. I was like, oh dang, is this happening or not? So
no,
it's been a crazy start,
back and forth. So you did mention USA racquetball, and they haven't quite shout out, but we had some new games that made it this year. So baseball, softball, skateboarding, some others, surfing, and karate made it in. Mm-hmm. Really kind of weird, because I'm thinking like surfing, like how do we push? There's so many, like, I feel like American born sports, that have taken over or put in there, like, because skateboarding definitely was an American like sport, right?
Skateboarding was what is killing me. I didn't know the X Games could also become Olympic sport.
But what's crazy about it is the skaters don't like it. They're like, nah, man, like, we don't want to be in the Olympics, because that's their whole, like, skaters are, the rebellion, and
Yeah. You mean I got to tuck my shirt in?
The funniest shit is when they said, I don't believe, like when Sakari was going through her shit, like, I don't believe all the fucking skateboarders made positive drug. I mean, made it through without no positive drug test. So
that is very interesting.
Right. And then it's just like, I mean, I guess karate gets into like maybe your, fencing and all of that kind of Olympics, but it's like, it was funny. I was reading like how many games, and it's like over like 90 games, right? But some of them are called skill, and then some of them are called sports. So it's it's funny how they attempt to make it up, and so we could just only root that racquetball makes it in one year.
Well, I mean, the thing about racquetball, and we gotta continue to build the young generation because it is still thought as an old head sport.
Right.
It's kind of true, but they're still working there.
Well, so that was the thing. So after looking at like, okay, how does some sports come in? And then like baseball is in this year, but it was out in 2008, and this is the first time it's come back. And then it just like goes back and forth. So the IOC has like an Olympic board, right? So the IOC in the different, so like we have probably a seat, and other cities and countries have boards on the seat, and they go through like 35 criteria that they put in like this 5 different levels, and one of them is like, what value does this sport add to the Olympics, right? And then like, how popular is this sport, and in the host country, right? So like, if it's popular in the host country, they may push that above and decide whether it's in or out. So very, very, very interesting. It seems like it's hodgepodge too.
Say that again.
It seems like it's hodgepodge, like they're making it up, homie.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. So, in tune to make the Olympics hip and add a different flavor on. Did you see any of the new commentators that they had for the Olympics?
I didn't know if that was real or not.
So same. Snoop is a real commentator. Him and Kevin Hart have a show where they commentate on different aspects of the Olympics. So it is NBC's push for their streaming service. Okay. And it can only be found there. So I don't have access to that streaming service, but I thought it was a joke because we saw what Uncle Snoop did during the boxing, and he added riveted commentary. But it's good to see that they added this new part to make the Olympics hip. So I'm pretty sure we'll see a lot clips of that coming out.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get rid of Kevin Hart, so I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
That is your boy. He's on everything.
Everything. So
I just want to just jump through a couple top stories. I almost want to do it like our people, Jen and Jacoby, kind of. I'll talk to a topic. If you want to add color, you do it. Or we just keep moving.
Stop. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. The first trans Olympian, the weightlifter.
I'm good. Yeah, if you want to talk about it.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a stat that said, keeping on that same thing, that this is the highest number or outlook or participation, I guess is the proper word, of openly gay competitors in the Olympics.
I mean, I guess it's a compelling stat, I guess. But at the end of the day, I think it's more about production and, what you can and can't do inside of that particular sport that you're Olympian. I don't know if it necessarily matters to that point.
And so that's the thing, right? Does that matter anymore, right? Like, is that, and I guess, I mean, it matters, right? Like, it's a conversation, but to the ultimate, what we're watching and what we want to do is just, we want to see the best athletes do what they do, right? Like, is that's what I'm getting from what you're saying. And I think I'm on the same accord with that.
No, I think we're 100% on the same page. I think we even say representation matters. So, maybe that's, I shouldn't say maybe, that's representing in its own certain way. But at the end of the day, I think it's just, production, whether you can do it or not, is probably the bigger topic there. Okay.
And, I'm good at butchering names. That's what I do. That's one of my roles on the show. So Tamika was the first Black female wrestler to win the gold medal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see that. That's huge.
That's amazing, right?
That's really huge. Particularly with that sport. That sport is not necessarily it's not, I don't know how to explain it, but typically you don't see us or definitely a sister in competing in wrestling, but it's definitely huge, and that's breaking barriers of its own. So shout out to her.
All right then. And I forget, and it's my bad if you may be able to correct me, but the two guys that just was like, yo, fuck it, man. It's both of ours. We just keep it in my house when they were competing at the high jump.
Again, another one of those things where I didn't know that was real or not.
Listen, I didn't know you could do that. Like, like me and you going back and forth at it, and we both tie, and then the judges come over and be like, yo, what y'all want to do?
For one, I would have said, my man was probably looking like I'm kind of tired. First of all, what sport was that? I don't even remember what sport it was.
I want to say it was like high. It was either high jump.
High jump. It was definitely high jump.
Okay.
It was definitely high jump.
So it's like, yo, they're going back and forth, and then like they just come over and be like, yo, like, man, y'all both, we can have a jump off, and then the dude's just like, well, we both can win. It's like both ours. So, and the funniest comment I heard was like, well, at the end of the day, you don't ever say you tied for a gold medal. It's like, yo, in 2021 in Tokyo, I won the high jump.
I won a gold medal.
I won a gold medal.
I probably would have been, I think my man was like, yeah, we good with it. It felt like it was one person's decision over the others because the other guy's reaction was like,
he jumped all over him. He was like super pumped. Like,
yeah. And one guy was like, all right, man. So I feel like it was more on his decision, like, hey, we can keep doing this if you want. And he was like, we can share. It's all right. I'm tired.
So, I'm tired, balls. So that was definitely a different one. One thing I did want to point out was we did have a demonstration, and it's going to be interesting to see what the backlash is from this demonstration. So shot putter Raven Saunders, I believe it is, she won silver, bronze in the shot put, and she did a demonstration on the thing, and we posted on our social media where she threw up the X over her head, and I told myself I was going to write it down so I don't butcher it, but she said the intersection where all underserved people meet. So there hasn't been any news about that, but that's a demonstration, and the IOC strictly said like at the cusp that there'll be no demonstration. So I guess TBD on what happens with that.
Yeah, I'm going to be careful with my words with Miss Saunders,
because yes, she does go by the Hawk. So that is her nickname. So let it be clear.
Oh yeah, that wasn't me. But no. I know, she's dealing with some things, some personal things, obviously with her mom passing. So my prayers are out there for her for sure.
100%. All right, man. So the big topic, right? And we'll definitely spend some time with this, is just it's happened a lot over the span, but really hit home in the Olympics is the mental health, right? So I think we'll start with Naomi because hers really started before, where she set out the Open before coming into the Olympics, and then announced that she would compete because it was her home and representing her homeland, because she supports that and the U.S. for both her heritages. But interesting, man. This is like coming to like a really big focal point, and how we're dealing with these athletes and where they need to be, man. It's heavy.
It most certainly is, and it's something that I struggle with. Not necessarily mental health per se, but I guess mental health. I guess the phrasing of it, or that in sport. So I guess I definitely want to be careful how I say this, because I don't want to offend anybody, or I'm just talking. We just talking. It's the locker room. So I definitely have mixed emotions on mental health.
Okay.
And I value your opinion, so I would love to hear your opinion on it too as well. But I guess I get to the point that, we all deal with different things, our moments in our life differently. I think that's what makes us great as people, and that's how God wanted us to be designed. We're no one person or no two people are exactly alike. We deal with things, we handle things much differently than, something may affect you or me, to the D, it may not affect you the same way.
Right.
But I guess to me, sometimes I feel like we tie in mental health, us as a society, or how we want to brand it, we just tie it in with failure all the time, and I don't feel like that's the same.
Wow.
When I think mental health, I think of, hey, whether you're on top, like Tiana was telling us, in a couple episodes before, or whether you don't succeed, if there's some real mental health things, that's going to be, regardless, right? There's something that you have to deal with. And I think a lot of times, I don't know where we're mistaken, but I think failure is just a part of sport, right? If you're not, the reason why we're talk sports, the reason why we're watch sports, the reason why there is Olympics, there's a gold medalist, there's a silver medalist, there's somebody's winning and somebody's not, not winning.
Right.
And I think sometimes for some reason, those two things get, I don't know, confused, or they just combined. And I think they're differently. I think failure is part of sports. And I think what makes, especially an Olympian, or any top athlete, or any top anything in any walks of life, is mental strength. You got to kind of work through some things mentally. That's what separates really the top from, the average Joe, right? So to speak. Right. So I don't know where that line crosses. Again, I think everything, athletes are human beings as well, right? So they're not immune to facing things that we all face in life. But at the same time, I don't know, sport is failure, right? That is the nature of sport. And I know it can take a toll on you mentally, but I just think that's what it is. It's just
someone has to lose. Someone has to lose. 100%.
I would hate for those two things to get crossed, and I feel like they do a lot.
Okay. So then let's take that to like a real life situation with Simone Biles then, right?
Yep.
So are you saying that sometimes you wonder or worry or cautious that the fear of failure is being labeled as mental health? Is that, without putting words in your mouth, like, is that a way to, not the whole defining way, because there's multiple layers to that, but are you saying that that's kind of one of the possible layers that we see, that people are afraid to fail, and when they are seeing a down period in their performance or things like that, they fall to like, well, it's because of mental health, or like, I need mental health and I can't. Is that a part of it?
In a way, I really believe so. In Simone's situation, especially because it's an individual sport, I think being at the top of the sport for as long as she's been, and
the GOAT,
she's the GOAT, and she's probably been, she's probably been perfect for a while, been the best for a while, and then she expects to be perfect on her own. I don't know if she's necessarily chasing something or anybody. She's almost chasing a ghost. She's kind of competing against herself in a little bit. So like,
yeah, LeBron understands that.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I can see maybe the mental toil that it has on you if you're just really competing against yourself, so to speak, right? And then you kind of build some pressure up to you. But at the end of the day, I think, and I don't know Simone, and I'm praying for her, I'm not judging her by no means, but I can probably more understand as a former athlete that, hey, you're getting close to the end of your time as a top level athlete. You see the end is near. I'm sure there's some mental,
what ifs,
struggles, or what ifs, or whatever that goes through. But at the end of the day, I think failure is failure. You're going to fail in sport. There's an expiration date with every sport, and I think that's more of what it is, right?
Yeah,
and I
just undefeated.
I'm not saying that's what she, went to and said is just mental health, but I wish she would have been more specific on
how.
Maybe she doesn't owe me anything, but I'm just saying that she doesn't owe me anything. I'm just saying that I feel like we kind of mixed those two a little bit.
There was a lot, right? So it went from she's out. Then they said it wasn't physical. When it first happened, it was reported it wasn't physical. Like she didn't hurt her ankle, knee, toe, whatever, right? Then it became, okay, she's sitting out for mental reasons, for her mental health. And then she has the Twisties, which I didn't know what the hell the Twisties were. Like, I didn't know if they was making that shit up too. But, now, like, they have past Olympians came out like, yo, the Twisties is real. And I'm like, I heard of vertigo, but I guess it's a gymnast-specific twisty thing that she's acquired. And I think it's all of those things, right? Like you had mentioned, just when she was doing the floor routines, and the commentator's like, oh, they're not used to being in second because Simone's score usually has them in first, and it's like that was the kind of constant theme. And the girl is ridiculous. Like, she's doing tricks that no one's ever done before. Like, just
it's her own stuff.
It's her own, like, she's got tricks named after her, right?
Yeah, and they judge her completely differently than they judge everybody else as well. Right.
Absolutely. The Shaq rule, right? So, the hacky Shaq rule situation. So it definitely, to me, had to be a lot of pressure. If the Twisties is what she was diagnosed with, then, she handled it the best way she thought she could handle it. And then, she came back and she's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go ahead and get the 7th medal on the beams, which is like the last final event. And then that goes back into what you're talking about, right? The legacy. How much pressure does she have to say, like, this is probably my last Olympics, so I got to go out with something. So,
and I salute her for that. I definitely do. I don't want to just condemn her. I salute her for, so to speak, what my dad always says: finish kind of what you started, right?
Right.
And that takes mental strength to do that. To get up when you're not at your optimum level to finish. So I think she showed great mental strength and physical strength to finish what she kind of started there.
So is that going to, like, I know we always talk about, like, kids is different these days. Is it the fact that there isn't mental toughness being built? Because there is a level of mental, and I think maybe this is another vertical that you're talking about, right? There is a level of mental toughness where it's kind of like, we've been taught, through 2-a-days and, lifting and, doing that extra rep. Are there things that these younger generations are missing or not getting a point of that we're seeing? It's something, right? Because it's becoming more prevalent, and, I don't know. That do you feel what I'm going with that, though? Because, like, there's something there, right? And how are you preparing for that? Like, how do you put your finger on, okay, that mental toughness versus, because she's the girl's gifted. Like, when I say the boy got his own money, she's got her own damn tricks. You know what I'm saying? Like, they call it one of the damn shit she does, the Simone or the Biles, whatever the fuck it's called. So so what's that line of pushing forward? You know what I'm saying, to be stronger mentally and physically?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know if we're going to be able to answer that now. I think that's going to come in data 20 plus years from now of how this society reacts when these athletes are, kind of retired and old. And, if we've heard of stories from, our yesteryear athletes that, they've lost some things mentally, and we see them on the news and you say, oh, whatever happened to him? And then you say, oh, bro on the news and he went crazy or something.
Right.
And so I think I think that's yet to be determined. I will say, I think it's different now. I know it's different now because everybody has a voice, and social media has made the opinions of others probably reach you easier than it has in the past.
Right.
But I also think saying mental health is a privilege that today's athlete had that maybe our pioneers never had.
Super facts.
Can you imagine Bill Russell saying, I know he was going through some shit in Boston, right?
Yeah.
And I can't imagine him just saying, like, yeah, I'm going to stop here, because of some mental strain. It's like, yeah, that wouldn't have worked, right? And I think that's a privilege that us athletes today have to lean back on. And I guess we'll see if that really, by talking about it, by being open about being human, if that really helps our retired athletes 20 years from now, as they continue the rest of their lives. I guess we'll see.
It's advancements in the game. So that's a great point, MH, man, because, like, our coaches used to tell us, man, back when we used to practice, we never got water breaks. You know what I mean? And, like, it's like, hold on, like, y'all didn't drink, like, water will literally kill you if it's hot ass sun, you got me running. You know what I mean? So it is the evolution of the game, and the more that we learn, but it is that balance, I think, like you said, of who's really doing the things to mentally prepare themselves and protect themselves versus, who's just using it as an excuse.
I agree. And I think if that is, let me say this, if there's, we all deal with something mentally, and if there's really some mental health issues, I really think you should get professionally you should talk to somebody professionally. It's one thing to say that what you're dealing with, but it doesn't make sense if you're not getting treated for it.
Super fast.
Right. So like there has to be some follow through there. And and maybe that's something that Simone went through during this process in the Olympics. Maybe she really talked to a sports psychologist or whatever she did and feeling, getting her mentals back in alignment.
Right. And then you got Kevin Love that just said, fuck it, I'm out. So he was, he's definitely talked about his battles, and, he was down here for the USA men's basketball, their scrimmage stuff, and he was on the team. And then before they went to Tokyo, he's like, you know what, man, I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Right. Man, Kevin Love done had a strained calf for legit 5 years now. So I guess that would be a mental strain on you as well to have your calf hurt that long.
Forever them. So that brings us into USA men's, man. And we had a chance to kind of see them, or just they were here in Vegas, warming up or prepping for they headed over to the games in Tokyo. And man, I'm kind of worried, man. I don't think them dudes is going to get an aluminum medal. So I don't even know if what's going to happen, man.
Yeah, they in the semifinals now. Kevin Durant.
And he let us know who he was. You know who he is.
Right.
Right.
Kevin Durant. You know who I am.
He let us know. So
right.
He dropped, what was it, 29 points, 30 points or something like that this last game?
Yep, 29. They beat Spain. I think they're playing Australia in the semifinals. So we'll see. And then I think in the other semi, it's
Luca's team, right? It's Luca's team in the finals or somebody else. So
Luca's country against France.
So everybody's thinking it'll be a Luca USA finale. So we're hoping for that, and hopefully we get out with the gold. But yeah, it's been they look very trash, and there's been a lot of excuses. Some say Pop isn't the right coach.
Yeah.
But this is everybody's opinion. Back to like your local Twitter person that has too much commentary on things, and then them not gelling long enough. And then we talk about our former guest John Shoemate. He says because of Zach LaVine. Sorry.
Oh, that's disrespect. I like Zach. Come on.
But hopefully,
John.
I mean, it's definitely turned because they come out the gate with that loss, and everybody, we were definitely overreact city. That's what we do,
Sure.
But they're looking like they have it straightened, and hopefully we get the goal.
And I don't know why it's much of a surprise, to be honest. Like, if you take the NBA, which is the best basketball league in the world, the MVP this year is not American-born, Jokic. The Finals MVP this year, Giannis.
Three-time or two-time MVP, like of the league.
Yeah.
So
he's not American-born. And then we just talked about Luka. He's probably the top young rising star, also not American-born. So like, yeah, this is a global sport, and we're seeing it in our best league in the world. So I wouldn't be surprised. And every one of these teams that the USA plays, they got NBA players on them. So it's
correct.
Yeah, it's not 92 anymore.
The dream team is no longer.
Correct.
Those days are over. All right, so it's definitely the most watched event. I mean, basketball is definitely up there, but of course, people love track, and I think it's lost its luster a little bit. It's still a great event to watch, but we just don't have our names as much. But did you care? Are you watching? Because who the hell won the men's 100? It was some random dude that won it, right?
Mm-hmm. Let me just do a quick little
call
out the lead.
Yeah, so I heard the story. I didn't see the race, but I heard the story. Like, let's say he was from Italy.
He's Italy. Yep. There you
look at that. Boom.
There you go.
So he's from Italy. He barely qualified in his previous rounds, but he did barely enough to make it. And then he comes in and smokes everybody. So the whole comment was, let's hope that this first. Well, he was born in the U.S. too, which sucks, right? Like he's born in the U.S. and then I think his parents maybe military situation, but They're like, man, he went from 0 to 100. Like they were like, he was running. What is that? What's your big Metcalf times in 100, and now he's beating Olympians. So
Yeah.
hopefully there's no funny business coming up in his test results at the end of this.
No, I think it's been weird. We're just the Olympics and I think the time difference is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Back to social media is like the results about something before you even really see it. Like it's kind of weird that way too. We know too much. And then I don't know what Peacock is. I don't trust that network. So when you gotta like buy something, I don't want to pay for something
Yeah, I'm not for the Peacock. I feel you on that.
Yeah, so between those three, I think I've missed a lot with it. But the 400 meter hurdles and all that kind of stuff has been pretty interesting. I mean, there was a race where literally the best race in Olympic history were three people, the 400 meter hurdles.
Jamaica?
No, it was a guy from Norway and I don't know who other guy from the US. Yeah. But they all three broke the world record.
Yes. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the women's Jamaican team that came in first, second, and third.
Yeah, and third.
And then just like the other cool thing was I think they beat Flojo's 100 meter record. So that's been like a long stand. I mean, she still has I think another one out there, but I mean, just the way that these women are moving, man, they're floating. So it's just sad that we couldn't see Shakiri, however you pronounce it, do her thing. In her time, this all will happen, right? So in 4 more years.
Yep.
So I think I'm with you, man. It was just I guess my final thought is money still rules the world because they made that shit happen, and I didn't think it was gonna happen, especially like how we opened, where they were like, open the ceremony, but we may tell y'all all to go home tomorrow.
Right.
So for them to make that happen. It'll be interesting to hear all like the final thoughts once we wrap everything up. And then the medal chase. It's funny how they do the medal chase. So I think China's ahead if you rank it by gold medals.
Yeah.
But overall, we have the most medals. So I forget what the over-under is on where we'll finish. And hopefully USA men's can add to that total.
Let's get a couple. So yeah, we do have 75 medals. And China has 32 golds, and we have 25. In my second country.
You want Rookaware?
Yeah, we have 19 golds, 36 total medals in Japan.
There you go.
But it's been an interesting Olympics because you kind of look at all the branding and it still says 2020 and it's almost like what am I watching?
Right.
I know it's legit 2021 now. So that's kind of strange, but I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad it gave us as sports fans something to watch and talk about, and hopefully next Olympics we're past this part of the world, this global pandemic. Don't look like it with this Delta and Spirit Spirit it's Delta and Spirit and Frontier variant that's all around.
It's just all over, huh?
Yeah, we'll see. But
got people out of jobs striking and everything.
Golly, man, you got to show the card everywhere, bro.
Forget a Costco card, right?
Yeah, I need to get mine laminated. Honestly, I was, the old school cards, and when you go to elementary school, they had it laminated. Yeah, I want to get mine laminated.
There you go. Oh man, so hey, that's a great statement, man. Well, the 2020-2021 Olympics, right? Signing off.
Crazy.
Well, hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. It said Mike Tirico said he thought he wasn't sure he was black. If anybody knows,
I've never heard this.
I will send you the link when we get off.
Please send me this. When was this? What does he think he is?
Hey, we'll do some research. That may be a whole show. But anyway, man, thank you guys.
He's from Italy, like my man that won the 100.
But he's born in the U.S. and you are all Negro. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Please share, man. We have a good time and share what topics you want us to hear talk about. We're on all your social platforms. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap and back.